Welcome to the deep dive, and, well, specifically your complete aviation solutions deep dive number 122. We're about to jump into the very dynamic, constantly changing world of aviation. It's a sector always being shaped by new deals, emerging tech, those big economic shifts, and yeah, the complex legal stuff that keeps things interesting. So, our mission today: unpack the latest, most critical developments from our sources, give you the essential insights, basically without the overload. We'll be looking at some big aircraft leases, the maybe surprising outlook for global business travel, a really innovative new drone ecosystem popping up down under, and some pretty high-stakes legal fights involving major players. These things are all kind of connected, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. And what's really fascinating, I think, is how interconnected these pieces are, even when they seem separate. From the nuts and bolts of, say, fleet expansion to the wider economic currents affecting travel, then you've got the cutting-edge autonomous systems, plus the crucial legal and regulatory side of things. It's the whole picture.
Yeah, you put that well. So let's kick off with something pretty foundational. Airlines strengthening their fleets, often with sustainability in mind, right? We've seen this significant new agreement in leasing. 6 Airbus A321neos for a Chinese airline, Zhejiang Loom Airlines. Deliveries expected around 2027. Now, for an airline like Lunair, they already run, over 70 A320 family planes. What's the real significance of adding these specific A321neos? Is it just more seats, or is there, a deeper strategy?
It's definitely deeper than just packing in more people. I mean, yes, the A321neo is the biggest member of that popular A320neo family, known for capacity. But its key characteristics, really, for long air, it's the fuel efficiency, the significantly lower carbon emissions, and importantly, the extended range. These features, you see, they directly help with operational efficiency and sustainability goals. That's critical today. Long Air, they started back in 2011, served major Chinese cities, some international routes too. So adding these A321neos, it's not just boosting capacity on busy routes, they're actually positioning themselves for potentially more profitable, longer domestic routes, maybe even new regional international ones. They can leverage that range and efficiency. It really underlines the strategic partnership they've had for, over 10 years now, shows a shared commitment to growth and innovative development in China's aviation sector.
Right. So optimizing the network, embracing more sustainable, profitable growth makes sense. Future-proofing the fleet, basically. And speaking of those broader economic wins that kind of shape these plans, let's pivot to global business travel. We've got the latest from a recent GBTA Business Travel Index report. It's projecting global spending to hit a new historical high, US $1.57 trillion in 2025. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. What's actually driving this growth? And are there, caveats lurking behind that big number?
That headline number, yeah, it's definitely eye-catching. But when you look closer, the growth rate predicted for 2025 is, more moderate, about 6.6% year over year. The report points out some persistent challenges that are kind of tempering this growth. Things like uncertainty over trade policy, those ongoing inflationary pressures, shifting global supply chains. Actually, the earlier projection, the one about hitting $2 trillion by 2029, that's now been pushed back by a year. So a slight delay. And here's a key point. While spending in 2024 did hit $1.47 trillion, nominally a new high, if you adjust for inflation, real spending is still, get this, 14% below pre-pandemic levels. That's a really critical distinction. It suggests that while maybe more money is being spent per trip, the actual volume of travel, the number of trips, it's recovering, noticeably slower.
Wow, 14% below in real terms. That's significant. Does that suggest a fundamental shift, maybe permanent, in how businesses decide which trips are really essential? Or is it just a longer recovery than maybe people expected? And how does this vary, by region or industry?
That's exactly the question, isn't it? And the data points toward, a more discerning approach. The impacts are quite different depending on where you look. Regionally, for instance, the U.S. is projected to take back the top spot in 2025, about $395 billion. China close behind at $373 billion. Together, that's like 58% of the total spent. But then you see places like India, South Korea, Turkey showing the fastest growth among the top 15. Makes sense, right? Emerging economies. Meanwhile, some mature European markets seeing very little or even no growth. And industry-wise, sectors sensitive to trade, like manufacturing, wholesale trade, they face bigger risks if trade tensions ramp up. On the flip side, service sectors, arts and entertainment, professional services, they've already blown past pre-pandemic levels, some up over 20% in travel spend. Looking ahead, mining and information and communication are expected to show the strongest growth. What's interesting, though, is traveler sentiment. Still pretty strong. 86% say their trips are worthwhile, over 80% traveling as much or more than before 2019. So it suggests the value of meeting in person is still recognized even if the sheer volume has changed. The real insight here, I think, connects back to airline strategy. They can't just wait for business travel volume to bounce back to old levels. They have to adapt. Adapt to this new reality of maybe fewer but higher value trips driving premium demand. That might mean reevaluating routes, service offerings, especially in those slower European markets.
That's a really powerful point. Adapting to a changed reality, not just waiting for the old one to return. Okay. So from shifting economic tides, let's shift gears pretty dramatically. Emerging tech, specifically drones and the digital ecosystems supporting them. We're seeing this launch of a new Australian drone ecosystem. Really highlights how drones, autonomous systems are moving way beyond just defense uses now.
Well, absolutely. Drones are fast becoming, well, essential tools across so many industries. We're seeing them, spraying crops over huge areas, surveying remote mine sites, providing really crucial help and emergency responses, loads of applications. The challenge, though, that this new ecosystem is called MADE, the American Australian Drone Ecosystem, the challenge it addresses is the complexity. It's time-consuming for organizations to find the right drone solutions, the right capabilities from all the different suppliers out there. So MADE acts as this national platform. It connects Australian businesses, industry, government with trusted drone providers. It basically streamlines access, coordination, deployment. The managing director called it a matchmaking ecosystem, which I think is a good description. Its goals are sort of threefold: support faster adoption of drone tech, boost Australia's own sovereign capability, and just make it simpler to access Australian solutions. One specific feature they mentioned is the MADE Search and Rescue Network, the SAR network, designed for rapid response drone support for emergency services, exactly when and where they need it.
This kind of integrated platform, it really points towards a future where, well, our airspaces are going to be much more dynamic, much more complex. Huge opportunities, but also, new regulatory hurdles.
That makes a lot of sense. A central platform could really speed things up, lower the risk. But it also raises that question, doesn't it? As drones get more integrated, commercial, public services, how does that impact the broader air traffic management systems, the ones designed for traditional planes? Are we seeing the start of a much more crowded, digitally managed sky?
It absolutely could be. The integration challenges, they're significant. You need sophisticated digital infrastructure, robust regulations, which actually leads us nicely into some of the legal and industry headwinds we're seeing in aviation right now. First up, this high-profile legal fight, a major airline versus an online travel platform. The core issue, accusations of unauthorized screen scraping. That's basically automated software pulling data off a public website, flight data in this case, an alleged violation of the U.S. Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, CFAA.
Right, screen scraping. Sounds like a very modern battle over who gets access to data. What's the backstory here, and what are the sort of wider implications?
Well, this fight actually kicked off back in 2020. Initially, a jury found the online platform was liable for causing economic harm. But then a judge amended that verdict, said the airline hadn't actually proven sufficient losses, which is apparently necessary for civil liability under the CFAA. So the airlines appealed. They want the original verdict back, or maybe a new trial. What's really noteworthy now is that 3 nonprofit lobby groups have jumped in to support the online platform. One digital rights group. They argue the airline's approach is a dangerous stretch of the CFAA. They say the act was meant for hacking, breaking technological barriers, not for just breaching website terms of service. They argue web scraping is vital for price comparison, research, journalism. Shouldn't be criminalized like this. Then there's a press freedom group. They're worried this could criminalize everyday journalism, like scraping public websites. Raises First Amendment concerns, they say, if website owners can just decide who sees public data. And finally, a Travel Tech Association filed a brief too. They push back on the airline's claims of consumer harm. They argue online travel agencies actually boost competition, choice, price transparency. And they agree with the others. No tech barriers were broken, so the CFAA shouldn't apply. In this case, it has potentially huge implications, way beyond just aviation, how data can be accessed, used across loads of sectors, could redefine digital property rights, really.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a foundational legal battle for the digital age. Ripple effects far beyond just airline tickets. And speaking of high stakes, we've also seen significant challenges hitting a leading aircraft manufacturer. Recent accidents, ongoing legal scrutiny. This includes that tragic crash of an Air India Dreamliner. Over 240 people killed. And of course, that brings back, painful memories of the earlier 737 MAX crashes. 346 lives lost then.
Yes, and it's really important to state up front. For the recent Dreamliner crash, investigations are still ongoing. It's far too early to assign blame. But the context of past tragedies, ongoing legal issues, it definitely magnifies the scrutiny on the manufacturer now. What's caused a lot of controversy, though, is the U.S. Department of Justice deciding not to criminally prosecute the manufacturer. This is despite the company pleading guilty to fraud earlier, related to those MAX crashes, the families of the MAX victims. They've strongly objected. They argue the DOJ's non-prosecution deal basically short-circuited judicial review, called it morally reprehensible. They're actively trying to get that agreement voided or get a new trial. The manufacturer itself, meanwhile, kept a noticeably low profile at a recent big air show right after the Dreamliner incident. This was despite having previously locked in some massive orders, including a big one for 787s and 777-9s. I mean, the whole situation, it really highlights these complex questions about corporate accountability, doesn't it? And the huge influence major industry players have on national economies. That tension between economic stability and legal accountability, it often plays out very publicly.
It's a truly complex balance, isn't it? Wow. We've covered a huge amount of ground today in this deep dive. From those strategic aircraft deals shaping fleets, the evolving landscape of business travel, to groundbreaking drone tech transforming industries, and then these really complex legal and manufacturing challenges that are shaping the whole sector. It's clear this industry, it's constantly pushing boundaries, but also grappling with some really significant responsibilities. So what does this all mean for you listening in, navigating this world?
Well, considering the sheer pace of tech advancement we're seeing and these intricate legal precedents being set right now, a critical question kind of emerges for all of us, I think. How might the very definition of aviation solutions expand and adapt in the years ahead, especially in areas like, say, autonomous systems and data accessibility? It really encourages us to reflect, doesn't it, on that delicate balance needed between innovation, the necessary regulation that has to keep up, and, crucially, public trust, especially in what's becoming an ever more complex global industry.